Keep in mind as you watch this video, I'm nursing a cold. So if I sound like it's impossible for me to get air through my nose, it is. That said, I want to discuss with you why infrequent TRT injections just work for people. Before we get into this, I want to make it clear that I am not making a blanket statement that everyone should do every third or fourth day or once a week injections. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying if daily injections, every other day injections have failed you, and you can't dial in despite numbers looking good, you should watch the rest of this video because you're probably someone who requires meaningful androgen pulses and the pharmacokinetic profile and deliverance of the metabolites DHT and estradiol in an infrequent manner to get your sexual function specifically firing on all cylinders. And I'm going to posit an argument that even though infrequent injections seem volatile, they can actually be more stable than daily injections. I know that doesn't make sense, and I'm going to explain. All right, before we start the video, look, Cortex Labs, which is my company, is a TRT guidance, coaching, and products company. For coaching, the longer-term packages are booked via the recent special. The TRT Sexual Function Single Session Consult is available, and the TRT Audit are available down below in the description. You can book me in under a minute. Source list, vetted list of anything you can think of. Again, pretty self-explanatory down below. Courses, Mastering Libido and Erections on TRT. This is a playbook everyone on TRT should have to dial in sexual function. It is down below. And there are separate video courses for dialing in cream for libido and erections and dialing in testosterone cypionate for libido and erections. All these products can be found in the description of this video. So we have to think about why these people exist and what the hell is going on here. Anyone here feel better? Libido, specifically libido. I mean, this is going to be one of the common threads across the infrequent dosing is libido is generally better. Once a week dose rather than more frequent. Guy in the comments goes, me, I feel better all the way around on once a week. Energy is better. Mood, gym pumps, gains. I'm leaner. Libido is higher. I stay more full looking. He says the highs and lows simulate a more natural flow of testosterone. And some of us react better to those peaks and valleys versus the constant stream, especially those of us who need more E2 and don't have problems with it. Yes, estrogen could be part of it. I mean, estrogen is very influential on the male libido. We do need some of it. We also need the right estrogen balance per the androgens, right? Too high androgens, not enough estrogen. We know what that's like. A lot of us have taken aromatase inhibitors, crushed the estradiol, libido goes away, erectile dysfunction arises, and you feel terrible. But I want to talk about the primary reasons infrequent injections just end up working for people that protocols fail when they're doing daily sub-Q or daily intramuscular or every other day protocols. All right, number one, and this is like a weird one, but I really need you guys to think about this. Your hormone ratios are never going to work on frequent injections. This is particularly for the people that need a little more elevated estradiol for libido and erectile quality to be intact. The androgens support the erectile quality, but again, if estrogen's too low for that androgen load, it's kind of like taking an AI or DHT derivative, and then people usually get erectile dysfunction when they do that. Now, if you're dosing daily, call it 150 milligrams, like the total T goes to 1,000, the E2 is 30, that's usually a good zone for people. But for these select individuals, that E2 should be like 45 for them, and then they have libido, erections are still intact, and they're good. They can only actually achieve that 45 number by injecting less frequently. Those on the other end of the spectrum need to be much more androgenically driven and just enough estradiol to support libido and cardiac tissue and joint pain, joint function, and all that stuff. Their ratios end up working out because they do a bolus of testosterone every 4th or 5th day. The estrogen accumulation, the aromatization from that injection lags behind. It usually tends to peak around day 3 or so, while androgens are peaking days 1 and 2. And so they stay in a hormone ratio with pretty elevated androgens, with not a whole lot of estrogen to crowd out that signal. I mean, I find people on both ends of the spectrum, which is why this is so confusing. The bottom line, though, is on infrequent injections, for some people, the ratios work a lot better than doing these daily injections. If you think of it this way, if you do daily injections and your hormone ratios, wherever they land, are not right for you, you will never get out of that. You're never going to get out of that. Do you know that if you do infrequent bolus injections, it creates a different ratio of testosterone DHT to estradiol? It does. And maybe that ratio is better for you for whatever reason. You need more estrogen, you need less estrogen. Again, I see people on both sides of the spectrum. Number two, though, this is the critically important one. More androgen signal at once. We have been over this. There is an androgenic threshold that people need to cross specifically to have erectile quality and libido. We never factor in like depot kinetics, these little depots that we're putting in our body with sub-Q daily or intramuscular daily. They're small little depots. We don't know how they release. We look at the literature and we think we know how they release. But for some individuals, based on their androgen needs or their hormone needs in general, a little micro droplet every day of, a long chain ester is not going to do it for them. It's just not. I've seen many people in my coaching experience that do far better on these pulse signal dynamics, right? They need these large boluses of testosterone at once. They get everything they need. The system gets saturated with hormones. Then they have libido. Then they have sex drive. Then their erections work. They're waking up with them. They have them in the middle of the night. They're strong. They're fuller. Their physique looks like they're on TRT finally, right? You take those people to daily injections. The signal is flat. Maybe libido works, like lukewarm erections maybe work, but it's not stellar. People need to keep in mind, before we got into all this new agey Reddit stuff of injecting, micro-injecting testosterone in small little droplets in the depot every single day of our lives when we brush our fucking teeth in the morning. What we were doing was injecting 200 milligrams at once or 400 milligrams every 2 weeks. I'm not suggesting the latter. Sometimes that actually does work for people, but we have to remember this is how we've always done it. All right, so some guys are just going to need more androgen signal at once. Determine if that is you. All right, if you're flat with good numbers on daily injections or very frequent injections, this is probably you. You need a bigger androgen pulse. All right, number 3, look, ultra frequent dosing keeps androgen exposure continuously elevated, but especially free androgen exposure, okay? I don't really talk about free testosterone all that much, but this is where it's very important. You know what it does when you consistently have free androgen exposure that is elevated without a break? It tends to suppress hepatic sex hormone binding globulin production a lot more aggressively than if you were to have a trough. And the bottom line is, for these individuals, more free hormones actually equals more volatility in their response. If you need to dial in permanently on TRT, get Mastering Libido and Erections on TRT, the Sexual Function Playbook, which covers every ester with strategic protocols to show you how to dial in libido, erections, sensation, and climax on every ester of testosterone. It is down in the description of this video. It's an instant download, and it can be yours instantly. More free DHT, more free estradiol, more free testosterone. More free isn't always better for everyone. All it fucking does is create volatility for them. They end up in the wrong ratios, and because they're injecting frequently, they're never going to get out of it. You're just going to stay there. Imagine you're on a protocol that does not work for you, but you're so into doing daily injections that you just stay there. It will never work, okay? If you go to less frequent injections, you know what oddly tends to happen on the blood work? Sex hormone binding globulin tends to increase a little bit. Free hormones tend to decrease a little bit. And instead of taxing by consistently stimulating some of the libido circuits, like particularly dopamine, you get shifts. You get a break, right? So that when that next injection comes around, that pulse hits, your nervous system responds much more to change than flat, consistent kinetics. So you get the dopamine hit. Suddenly you have libido. Again, as I described, like on my current protocol of 175 milligrams a week, doing every other day, sub-Q injections, 100 IU-HCG a day, 20 milligrams DHEA a day. I had to front load to get here quicker to steady state. And then 170 milligram front load. Dude, my libido was off the fucking charts. It's very, very high now. But after that injection, it was higher. Like, my body likes both. My body can do every other day injections. Like, I'm good with that. I feel great. Libido's great. Erections are great. My numbers aren't crazy. My E2 is sitting at 40. My total test is at 1100. Yeah, I feel great. But, the front load, the libido was insane. And some people are just going to need that. Less free hormones, less volatility in the free hormones. And what ends up actually looking like on paper is super physiologic total test, but like top of the range or slightly over the range free test. Not 200 points over in free test or 400 points over in free test, and their SHBG falls at 20. Then everything works, right? They're doing daily injections. The SHBG is at 15. The free test is substantially over range. The signal, there's a lot of noise there. Number 4, and this is going to seem a little counterintuitive or hard to understand, but I will explain it very clearly so that you do get it, is that you actually end up getting more of a proper hormone balance when you inject less frequently. Again, not everybody, but the people that do it and benefit from it, they get a better hormone balance. Here's what I mean. Days 1 and 2 on a bolus injection, androgens increase. Guess what's not really increasing all that substantially on days 1 and 2? Estradiol. So you start with a peak androgen increase, think morning erections, nocturnal erections, right? I mean, the androgen dominant state is absolutely positively what drives that. Then though, days 2.5, day 3 and 4 is where estrogen ultimately is rising and peaks. That estrogen comes just in time to support proper hormone balance, with estrogen contributing to libido, helping libido stay intact without going over and mucking with erections. And here's the thing, you then go to re-inject on your 4th day, your 5th day, or your 6th day. Estrogen is still kind of up there, but lowering, still enough to support libido. And then you create the great hormone ratios that your body needs all over again by injecting more androgens while estrogen is kind of down there. You get the androgenic peak, the erections, the nocturnals, the spontaneous ones. The estrogen kind of creeps back up, but the androgens are still high. You're still in a favorable ratio. You trough back down, you do it again. Again, if you're doing very frequent injections and your ratios don't work, despite what the bloods say, the ratios don't work for you, that will never change. It's not going to change. Maybe you do need different ratios, right? Higher androgens, a little bit higher estradiol, a little bit of a trough on estradiol, still high androgens, rinse and repeat. Okay, if you're doing daily injections and your ratios don't make sense for sexual, who cares about what the blood says? Honestly, in this case, who cares? If you're numb, you're muted, you don't have good erection quality, you're not waking up with wood, your libido is not there, your ratios are off. To continue to do daily injections in that case is futile. All right, 5th major reason frequent injections work better for some individuals is just troughs. It's just troughs on things. Again, I want to make it clear that the male body was never intended to be steady state hormones. You know, if you look at a graph of what our natural testosterone does throughout the day, it actually fluctuates. It peaks in the morning. It's peaking throughout the greater part of the morning, maybe into the mid-afternoon. Some people, the peak lasts about 5-6 p.m., but then you trough. You start troughing on testosterone, and I think that's your body's intelligent way of recognizing we don't want to be constantly saturating ourselves with testosterone. Then the signal is going to disappear. Then the SHBG is going to lower. Our free hormones are going to get all out of whack and unbalanced and impossible to fucking manage, by the way. Think about what your body does naturally. Peaks and troughs, peaks and troughs. That is what our male physiology is inherently designed to do. Let's talk about dosing and protocols. Listen, on 200 plus milligrams a week, you really got to be careful because you run the risk of over aromatizing no matter what, and that you might need an aromatase inhibitor. But you got to keep that in mind. Some people do it fine, right? As long as the HCG dose isn't super high and they're not just excessively creating estradiol, mismanaging the hormone ratios. But the kind of protocols that I've seen really be effective for these set of individuals that can't do frequent injections, like 70 to 90 milligrams every 3rd or 4th day. Yeah, I mean, these guys end up at 35 to 45 estradiol, between 800 and 1200 total testosterone. Free test either slightly above range or just at the top of the reference range. Every 4th day, as is this example, like it's enough time in between to refresh the signal, right? When you go and inject again, it's kind of like some contrast. You're getting a peak again. People respond to those type of dynamics. Again, as I've described recently, 100 milligrams every 3rd or 4th day. For somebody that needs large doses, like me on 175 milligrams a week at test, you know where my test goes? 1,100, you know, like between 11 and 1,200. For a lot of people on that dose, they'd be at 1,800 or 1,300 or 1,500, fucking 2,000. Some people just need more testosterone. Like I'm one of those guys. All right, so 100 milligrams every 3rd day, every 4th day. Look, if you feel like you have to manage the estrogen because you've got a spongy, fluffy, non-erect penis, like that's usually the sign of estrogen dominating the protocol, and you got to lower it a little bit. Small dose of an AI, small dose of Masteron, small dose of Primabond, right? Do it really, really carefully, or you lower the HCG dose. In the end, I'm about what works for you. I really don't care. I don't even have a bias on it. I don't prefer that people inject less frequently or more frequently. I care only about what works. But I'd be doing my entire audience an injustice, having witnessed what I've witnessed as a consultant on this for years, to be like, yeah, one size fits all. For those of you that are doing daily injections and the bloods look fine, but you have no libido and erection quality is kind of lukewarm or worse, you require Cialis, just try injecting less frequently, okay? You might have to dial in from there, add an AI, not add an AI, change the HCG dose, manipulate your protocol from a smart engineering point. But look, if you're doing daily and it is not working despite good numbers, you got to change something. And it's almost definitely injecting more at once, less frequently. All right, boys, look, all the courses at livecortex.com are down in the description of this video. These show you my logic through years of doing consults and heavy one-on-one coaching. Mastering Testosterone Cypionate is a great video course to get if you want to just dial in on that ester. You can get it down in the description of this video. It's an instant download, and it's probably about an hour long. The playbook that everybody has to have, this is a digital downloadable book. It's effectively a PDF. It's about 60-something pages to help you to dial in on any ester. I mean, there's protocols for prop, cream, enanthate, cypionate, hybrids, with AIs, without AIs, DHT derivatives, Primo, Masteron, Proviron. Everything is in here. All right, you can download this thing instantly, livecortex.com. The link is down in the description of this video. Coaching, yeah, look, the 3-month and the 6-month packages are now officially booked. If you need special consideration to get on board, please email me at ryan@livecortex.com, and I'll see if I can get you in. I just can't keep this available on the website because then they're going to super book another 25 for the month of May, and I can't handle all those clients right now. All right, but I can still handle some. You got to email me if you want to get on board. Otherwise, single session call with 3 to 5 action routes, full protocol creation and adjustment. That's available. You can book me for that in under a minute, livecortex.com. A lower ticket item entry point for a full audit of your protocol and suggestions on what you should do is the TRT protocol audit. That is a brand new consult, and you can get that down in the description of this video as well. All right, we got source lists, we got Mastering Testosterone Cream, we've got bundles of different products. Just check everything out at livecortex.com on the homepage. Brother, I need you to do one thing, man. If anything I said resonated with you, please like the video. It makes a huge difference. Otherwise, if you're not subbed, dude, I would love to have you on board. I'll see you in the comment section. I do respond to comments. I take the channel very seriously and the community very seriously. Jump on board. Let's go. Otherwise, bro, I'm going to leave you with a video that gets further into the infrequent injection dynamic and explains why this is necessary for some people, and you're never going to dial in until you inject more at once, less frequently. I'm going to put it right over here. Was it right over here? Click on that. I'd love you to watch it. I think you're going to want to watch it. All right, kick ass, rock on, enjoy the rest of your day. And brother, I'll talk to you in the next one.